Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stamping A to Z. I'm Linda Gibbs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Canada, in Edmonton to be exact. Those of you who live locally would love to meet you if you're looking for a demonstrator. Stamping A to Z is a live that I do weekly. It started as a way to introduce all of our products and what they are, what's available, how to use them. Then it kind of turned into how can you use them in different ways? What different techniques can you use? And now it's just kind of a continuation of tutorials on different techniques and products and whatever comes up that I think is something new, or just with the new products showing you how to use it. So today is some new products. It's out of our new annual catalog. We're going to be looking at the Bright and Beautiful suite, which is the balloons. It is a great all-encompassing suite. It can be good for any kind of congratulations, birthdays, just any happy occasion it's great for. So it's got lots of fun pieces with the dies. It's got fun stamps. It's got paper. It's got it all. Excuse me. Anyways, yeah, let's get you turned around and we'll get started right away. Alrighty-o here. My nice messy desk going on. I really need to, I have a bunch of different projects on the go, so it's just an absolute mess to deal with right now. But hopefully I turned up the volume instead of down. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I gotta try and see comments. If you are watching, let me know you are watching. It doesn't always tell me who's watching. Say hi and let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, by the way. I do love it when I have people to chat with or even put in input. It's always fun to craft with others. So yeah, please say hi. And feel free to ask questions. My comments don't always show up, so I do try and look so it's not kind of real time necessarily, but if I can answer your questions, I'm more than happy to. So this is the suite that I was talking about. It's called Bright and Beautiful. The bundle is called Beautiful Balloons Bundle. There's also 6x6 designer series paper, as well as 12x12. It's a specialty designer series paper. It's acetate with gold print. I did show this one when I was showing my 10 favorite things. It has, you know what, I didn't use it in any of my samples today, which is kind of sad. I wanted to, but I was rushing, and then, I don't know, I didn't end up using it. But you can actually, it's meant to be on the gold side, but you can use it on the reverse side, and then you end up with silver. So you could use gold or silver. So it has the really fun kind of confetti type. Oh, that's not. And then you've got kind of the bigger pieces that you can use on a full card. And this is more, I don't know, it's all confetti. It's all celebratory stuff. So yeah, you could see, you could use it for like a graduation. You can use it for a promotion. You can use it for anything really that you're happy for someone for. So it is a really fun suite, which can be found on page 14 and 15 of the new annual catalog. All right, let's get started. My first card, sorry, pardon the mess. I didn't bother changing my paper. It's still good condition. It's just a messy background for you guys to look at. Where's my first card now? See, I said it's such a mess. I can't find my stuff. All right. So here are the dies for this set. So there's there's a tag, there's balloons galore, 3 different size balloons with stamps that match, 2 different size stars, some tassels, some confetti. This is a really fun one. I don't think that fits there. It cuts out, well, you'll see, but it does kind of, I don't know what you call not tassel, fringe. That's what I'm looking for. So that's a fun one too that you could use for with anything really. So first off, what am I doing here? So I have cut out these 3 balloons, which is this die here. I just cut it out of our basic white. And so we have that, and I want to stamp some balloons on here. Now, I did discover something. This smaller balloon does not fit with the smallest balloon here. Nor does, so this one fits here, and our big one fits on the big one, but this one doesn't have one. So you'll see how I kind of deal with that because I want them all stamped. Then I die cut a single balloon, which is this one, out of our masking paper. I did stick it to my sweater, as you can, I don't know if you can see, it has some purpley lint on it. And then I'm going to stick it down. But first, I'm going to stamp my big balloon before I mask it. So I'm going to use Blueberry Bushel here. So the colors in this suite are really fun and bright if you're using it with the Designer Series paper. These are kind of the papers that are used within it. So lots of the fun new bright 4 colors that we just got. And then since it's photopolymer, I'm going to try not to stick my head in the camera, which makes it much easier to stamp, but I'm sure you don't want to stare at my head. So there's our first balloon. So for the smaller balloon, I want to stamp it, but I'm going to stamp it off to give it a slightly different color. So I'm using a balloon that's too big. Oops, I almost forgot to mask my balloon. Yikes. Okay. So I'm just going to put my mask on here. I've stamped it off. I have some, I don't know if that's going to stamp now that I've been, talking too much. All right. So it, like I said, it doesn't quite fit, but since we're using the mask, I'm just stamping it where it does fit, and then it looks like it's meant to be. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. It's been smoky here the last day and today again, and it is just wreaking havoc on my allergies. I was so happy that we had managed without smoke despite all the fires around us. And I spoke too soon. They came. It's inevitable when there's fires all around. It's not great for breathing. All right, this one I am using a different blue. It's the Azure Afternoon. Just so we've got kind of 3 different, so you can see my mask is still down. Now if I pick up my mask, I've got the 3 balloons and none of them are on top. So it looks like these 2 are kind of in behind. You could do it the opposite way where your smaller balloons are in front of the bigger balloon. In which case you would mask the 2 smaller ones and when you stamp the big one. So you can change it up, whatever your preference is, by using the masking paper, which is always fun to play with. Then we've got a piece of Blueberry Bushel, which is what we used here. So I don't know if you guys know, our cardstock has a tendency, always has a way that it wants to bend and a way that it doesn't want to bend. So if you kind of just test it out, you can feel the difference. Like, it does not want to bend this way. If I were to fold it without scoring it, it would kind of crack and bend funny. If I go the way that it wants to go, I do not have to score it, and it folds very nicely without all those yucky kind of creases and stuff. I am going to come in and cut a piece off. I did forget to do that ahead of time, but that way you get to see. So this is a full size card base, and I'm just gonna cut, now I don't remember how much I cut off. About a 1/2 inch, maybe it's 3/4. Let's go with 3/4. Because I want to put a nice decorative fringe on there once I am done. But first I want to stamp on here. I want to stamp this fun, what do you call it? Garland? Anyways, why can't I think of the word? It's gonna drive me nuts. Anyways, you guys know, if you've watched me before, me and my words are not having fun with each other. I don't know why. Words escape me these days. And I can't find a scrap piece of paper. Oh my. It's funny, my boys made me Mother's Day cards. And my youngest, he made his card and then he's like, oh, I think I used the wrong cardstock. I just had some printer paper, probably just scraps from something, left out, and that's what he tried to use as his card base. So it was a little bit on the light side, but it was a beautiful card nevertheless. So it happens, right? At least he tries. I trained him well. He tries to use my scraps before he takes large pieces and cuts them up. So that part is great. Who wouldn't want that? I did my original just kind of up top here. I saw another card where it took it all the way down, and I kind of like the look of it because I felt like my card was missing kind of it was just missing stuff on the bottom part, so I'm hoping this will help. We'll see. All right, so there's our decorative background. So you can always, like, you can put layers of cardstock, but you can also just have a decorative background on directly on your card base too. Next, I took, if I can find it, the Designer Series paper here, and I took, since I'm using the blues, I went and found the blue section, kind of divided up by colors, and I liked these stars. So I cut a piece of that, and then I ran it through with the fringe cutter. So you can cut like a larger piece and then cut it so that this is in the center. And then you end up with two pieces and you just cut it down the middle and you end up with two pieces of fringe, which is what I ended up. So my other card that I made used the other piece and this one is using this piece, but I do need to cut it down, or I can put it on and then cut it, whatever, doesn't really matter. And then, yeah, I think I only cut it a 1/2 inch on my other one because this is quite a bit of space, but that's okay. Hopefully my balloons still, oh yeah, it'll work. I'm gonna make our fringe kind of bend it a little so it has some it's not just straight. And then I'm just going to take my glue here. It's a brand new glue, but it just, I need to find my little, I had a little jar that I stick it in upside down so it stays upside down. And then it's much easier to use. But I'm not sure where my little jar went to. I'll have to find it. Okay, so I'll just glue that down. And then we'll cut off our excess here. So we've got our fringe. Then we've got our balloons. I also cut out a couple of the stars, the smaller ones from the set, out of the designer series paper, so they have a bit of interest. And I also added some string. This is not, I don't think it's in our new annual catalog. This is from last year's In Color twine. Not twine, is it twine? I can never remember. And so I'm going to do 2 of the darker blue and 1 of the lighter. It's not the colors that I'm using. This one's Tahitian Tide and this one is Starry Sky, but it's close enough that it works. So I'm going to take some tear and tape to attach the string to the back of my balloons. It's the easiest way to get it nice and stuck. I'm curious, have any of you purchased the balloons and have you played with them? Or is it on your list of things that you would like to get? And if it's not on your list, let me know if this video changes your mind and then you do think you might like it, because that's always nice to know if you end up liking it. Then I'm just going to put my, oops, we want 2 different stars, not 2 of the same. So you can tell I cut it out of the same piece of designer series paper and then just flipped one to the other. So they look different. And here we go. And then we need to put some dimensionals on our balloons. Now, you don't have to take this off, but if it's going to be in the way of your dimensionals, you want to take it off because your dimensionals won't stick well to this, and then it might come off when you give it away, which wouldn't be good. So rather than have it fall off, just take it off because you're putting dimensionals on anyways, so it's not going to stick to that. And then maybe a couple of little ones here. There we go. Now you could tie the strings together, make a bow with them, but you'll see I'm going to tuck them together anyways, so I don't need to worry about them. So next up, I cut out, stuck, this tag. Now I did cut it on a smaller piece, so it didn't end up cutting this full piece, but it was a little bit too big, so I want to cut this off because I'm using it as a label instead of a tag. So it's multi-purpose. And then you just want to poke out all your extra little pieces. I think they stuck because I didn't clean my die cut before it was already full of pieces. Then I want to stamp on here. I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday. Again with the, so this is the Azure Afternoon, and I'm going to stamp with the Blueberry Bushel so that there's that contrast. You could also probably use white embossing powder if you wanted that Happy Birthday to kind of pop, since there's not too much white on this. Personal preference. So again, just gonna use some dimensionals and we're gonna put them here, but I want to put my group of balloons behind it. So again, I'm going to take my tear and tape, and I know that this is going to go on top, so I'm just going to pull them down so it looks like they're pulling up, and then stick them down here, and then I can cut these, and then we will stick our Happy Birthday on top. Like so. There we go. So then we've got the outside, we've got our pretty fringe, we've got our decoration. Then on the inside, obviously it's hard to write on a darker, so if you cut extra, so what you should have cut, or what I should have cut, is a 1/2 inch. I ended up cutting 3/4, or it almost looks like a full inch. I'm not sure what I cut. And your fringe doesn't cover. I don't mind this. If you don't want it to show, then cut a smaller piece of blue or make this one longer, whichever you prefer. And then I'm going to take my small balloon, make sure it's clean. Oops. I love how dimensionals just kind of get everywhere. They make their way into my hair, onto the dogs. Where else? I don't know, they're all over the place. Okay, and then I'm going to use the darker blue, and there's a cute little string that you can stamp, since we're on the inside of the card. I don't want to use a real string, so a stamped string works better. Oh, it's like tongue twisters. All right, then I think it's time for a celebration, and I'm going to go right on top of the balloon. There we go. And then you have a nice inside. Ready to be stuck down, and then you can write your message, and it's ready to go. So there's our first, this one's a birthday one. But we don't need all birthdays, or maybe you do need all birthdays. Whatever it is you need, you can make with this set. So to start, I ran a piece of Berry Burst through the Cut and Emboss. This is one of the embossing folders that's on the online exclusives. It is the Basics, I think it's called. Basics 3D embossing folder. So it has the thatches, it has the dots, and then it has those kind of like stars that look like sea stars a little bit. Anyways, run it through. Got my cute little dots. This to me is like perfect birthday or celebratory kind of, it's like confetti or whatever. To me, it just speaks to this whole suite. I think it goes really well. Then we're going to stamp some more balloons. First, I'm going to clean my balloons because I'm completely, I probably should have done it the other way because these colors are much lighter. And we don't want to end up with those colors mixing in. All right. So we are going to take the beautiful Berry Burst. We don't need these blues anymore. We have Berry Burst and Bubble Bath. I love this. I always want to call it bubble gum. Doesn't it look like bubble gum to you? Like, I don't know why you would call it Bubble Bath. I think bubble gum is, maybe I'll rename it. That to me is bubble gum. What do you guys think? All right, then we've got the Berry Burst. Now, one thing you can do is if you want to make this balloon a little more fancy, you could use the acetate and put it on top, but you can also use, if I can find the stamp set, where did it go? Where did it go? I go. Here it is. So there is an extra kind of decorative, I don't know what you call it. It's meant to put on the balloon, but it gives it an extra added decor. So you could take, you could use embossing powder and use gold. Here I'm just going to take the darker Berry Burst. And I'm going to give it some oomph. Now I hope this doesn't mess up my stamping because I am going to stamp in the middle of this. It might make it a little busy. I'm wondering. I wonder if I should, well, let's try. The whole fun of crafting is just to try things, right? See what you like. You can always turn it over and do it again if you don't like it. So yeah, it does make it a bit hard to read. Let's try something else. Actually, I don't have to try something else because I already have it cut out. So I cut these out with the coordinating dies, one of each. So we end up with the magic of television. Ta-da! We end up with our balloons. So now we're starting from scratch again. I'm just going to stamp this direct. I'm not going to, since it's already cut out, I'm not going to bother trying to emboss something. But you could even gold emboss the words, but still have the background decorated. But this is good. Or you could add more sparkles to that one. Whatever suits your fancy. Sky's the limits, right? You can just keep going and keep going. All right. Then I also cut out using these two different stars. I cut out some more stars, but out of the Designer Series paper again. Just it's fun to cut them out of the Designer Series paper because then it's not just plain cardstock. It's got some texture, some movement to it, so I kind of like that. I did not have any matching string for these ones, but I did have some white, so I'm going to put white strings on the back of here, just like I did the other ones. One here. Eek. There we go. Okay, so we've got our strings. Again, I want to pop up my balloons, so I'm going to remove the tape. And I'm going to add some dimensionals. One to cover the string. And that's too big. Let's use the smaller ones for this balloon. And I'm going to probably overlap it. So I probably actually, I'll just put one on this side. And then they can fit better. So then I'll just put this there. And then you can add some Stampin' Seal or some glue, whichever adhesive you like to use. Oh, dear me. I'm making a mess of my fingers. Okay, and then they're there. Then what I did with this one was I did tie a knot. Hopefully I gave myself enough string to make a knot. Oh, haha, too low, too low. I wonder if we can pull it this way. Nope. Okay, well, let's make another one. Hope we can go higher this time. Or we might have to fudge it. We'll see. We will see. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm making a mess. Abort, abort. Abort mission. Oh my goodness. Okay, I just made a mess of things. Goodness. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just put it to the other side. And nobody will know the difference except for whoever is watching. So if you're watching, do not tell anyone. Any secret, because I'm going to pop this up anyways, so it won't be a problem. And then I've got my string there. It's all good. It's like I never made a mistake. No mistakes here. All right, then we're going to put a star. And another star. Oops. Well, that's a whole lot of glue for a little star. But it'll hold. I need a baby wipe. All right. Okay, so there is our nice simple card. I have a piece of basic white that I pre-scored, and I'm just going to put some dimensionals back here. Pop it up just so it has a bit of a shadow. And when it's sitting on the card, make sure it's the right way. And voila, card number 2. Again, you can come in and decorate the inside if you want. You could put another piece of white on the inside if you don't trust yourself to stamp directly on the cardstock, because it will be, you can't flip it over, but you could try on here, and if it doesn't work, then cover it with another piece. That's another option as well. All right, this last one, we're not going to use the balloons, but we're going to use the fringe. So here I have pre-cut once again. For the magic of television, I will show you the paper that was used, so you know. It's on the back of the stars. This one. So this is the paper I cut. I just cut it into 1-inch strips and then I ran it through. This time I left it bigger, so I didn't cut it on either side, because if you cut it on either side and then cut it down the middle, this is what happens, is you get opposites. So when you go to stagger them, if that's the look you're going for, then great, but you won't have matching strips if you cut it down the middle and then try to put them together. So this one, you can see my fringe is a lot longer because I just cut it so that it was just off the edge like so. And we did a bunch of those. So this is one piece of paper and you can get 6 somewhere. They're just all stuck together. Should be 6. Where's the 6th one? Right here. Hiding. All right, there. We have 6. And then I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight, another new one of our core colors. And then again, you just want to kind of curl your fringe a little bit, give it some texture. And then we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. And all I do, you could put adhesive if you prefer the Stampin' Seal. I'm using the glue, and that way it's repositionable as well. Okay, and then the next one. You could make a grass skirt for a dancer or something, or a little ballet tutu with this. You could do lots of things with the fringe. I think you could have fun with it. Get creative. Oh dear, it's crooked. And this is why glue comes in handy. So you can reposition it easier. Okay, I hope you guys are just being quiet because I'm not seeing any comments today. Or maybe no one's watching. You know what? I was naughty today and I didn't put a reminder in for people to watch. So maybe everyone forgot, but that's my bad. But that's okay, because you can always catch the replay. Okay, this one, oop. You could use like a pencil and just roll it. Just depends how fringy, how sticking up you want it. It will get flattened in an envelope if you're putting it in the mail, but hopefully it'll pop up a little bit and not get too flat. Like a curtain. I can't think what this reminds me of. Not a curtain, but maybe a skirt, I guess, like those fringy skirts. They're kind of back in style right now. Okay, then that's my first part. Then I've got a piece of cardstock in white. I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I'm going to come back to the, I think it's time for celebration. Just clean that off. And here I'm going to use my Versamark and some white embossing powder. I always close my Versamark before I lift my stamp off, because that way I know that I can go straight to the powder and I don't have to worry about getting powder into the Versamark, because you know, powder just goes everywhere. And the Versamark is meant for the powder to stick to it, so you kind of want to avoid the two getting mixed together. Otherwise, you'll have a really grungy Versamark pad quite quickly. And I did not use my embossing buddy, so I've got some excess powder here. And then I'm missing some powder on my C. I probably hit it with my finger. And then you've got the oils from the finger or moisturizer, whatever. And then we take our handy dandy don't burn your fingers tool. Heat up the heat tool. It's nice when you're doing a lot of embossing and your heat tool is nice and warm and it just kind of goes really quick. Once it's warm, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Everything melts instantly. So for those of you who are new, I don't know if you can see that when it gets shiny on the one side versus gritty on the other. The shiny is melted and good. You don't want to touch the gritty side or you're going to rub off all that powder, because until it is melted, it will not stay. So you want to make sure that you have a nice shine all the way, and then you can't rub off, and it's good. So then we can add that to our, you can see I had powder on my paper and now it's picking it up, but that can be brushed off. That's not going to melt once it's there. And then I'm going to put some dimensionals again. I just took out this dimensional sheet, like I think it was last Wednesday when I did the live, and I'm already almost empty again. Crazy. What about you guys? Do you use dimensionals? I like to pop things up. I like it to have layers. Not a ton of layers, but I do like it to have some dimension to it. So isn't that cute? Then I cut out a piece of fresh freesia with the radiating dies, these ones that are on our online exclusives, so you can find them online, not in the catalog. And then I thought that kind of looks cool. And since it's kind of hard to put Stampin' Seal when, unless you want to flatten your fringe, glue is probably the easier way to go with this. And then just try and give it a little pressure here and there. Okay. And then we've got a piece of 4 1/4 by 11, which I forgot to score. I find when it's the long way, it's much easier to score it, or it does, like it doesn't, I guess it does like to bend, but I just prefer to score it. It's easier when it's the long way. then you know it's not gonna do anything funny on you. And you'll have a nice fold instead of a creased and cracked fold. So then we can just, actually, well, I was gonna say I'll put dimensionals because I did on the other one. But you know what? Since we're running out and doesn't really, we've already popped up the celebration. We can do it like so. Then, if you want to add a bit of bling, I believe these are in the annual catalog again. They are called Iridescent Pastel Gems. And it looks like they don't match, but these actually take on the color of kind of whatever you put it on. So here it takes on the purpley and blue, whereas it looked like they almost are orangey pinky when they're on the piece of paper. So they actually work really well with whatever you put them on. It's great. So there we have it. A nice, so, and I used the other, so I cut the strips and then I cut them in half at 3 inches, and I used, I don't know why I only used 5. It looks much better with 6, doesn't it? I think it does. I'll have to put the 6th one on. So this is Pretty Peacock, Lost Lagoon to mix with these colors, and then these ones I pulled the colors from what was in the tassels. So those are my 3 cards for today. Hopefully it made you think about how great this suite is, because I think it's great. And then we have our So Thrilled for You and our Happy Birthday. So lots of fun to be had. And this is just, you know, the beginning. There's so much more you can do with it. I didn't even touch the acetate. I didn't use the decorative, you know, you could emboss with it. And then there's tassels here. There's some more confetti. There's so much more you can do. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to do part 2. All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed today. Hopefully you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.